Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 2. Who am I? Well, my name is Julie Jepson. I'm 42 years old. My birthday is September 5th. I was born in 1981, and I have 8 children, and I currently live in Utah. Uh, I was born to goodly parents, John and Bonnie Jepson. Bonnie Bolt was her maiden name, Bult. She'd get teased because sometimes they'd call her Bonnie Butt. And my dad, his name is John Jepson, and his spelling was Jon. So there were not many Johns with Jon that are around. So we grew up in Holiday, Utah, which is just near Salt Lake City. I have 5 siblings. Well, yes, 5 siblings. There's 6 of us in total. So I've got my brother Josh, who is turning 50 this year. My sister Emily, who is 45. Melissa is 40. Oh my gosh, I'm 42, so she's 44. Emily must be turning 46. And then my youngest sister Becky is, I think, 39, 38 maybe. I think she's turning 39, so this is going to be her big year, the big 40. Um, but and then I have a brother whose name is Nathan, and he died when he was 7 years old. So it goes Josh, Nathan, Emily, Melissa, Julie, Becky. So there are 6 of us in total, and we lost Nathan. I was 2 years old. I don't even remember him. He died from anaphylactic shock and allergic reaction to bee stings. My parents were not aware that he was allergic. He wasn't aware that he was allergic. So that's a story for another day as well. But um, I never knew him, so I only, get the stories from my older siblings and my parents of what kind of person he was. But I do believe he's watching out for me. I do believe he's my guardian angel, and that he is for all of us. I believe that he's doing important work on the other side, and that he helps me on this side, maybe when I least expect it, maybe when I'm least aware of it. I'm good friends with my siblings today. We all live here in Utah, and we all have children, and our cousins, our kids are all cousins, and enjoy each other's company, and have the sleepovers, the parties, the everything. I still am involved and very in touch with my cousins growing up, who are my best friends, and so I wanted that for my kids. It's one of the reasons I had so many. There is someone for everyone of my kids. Um, as a little kid, I was playful. My mom says I was a happy kid, adventurous, and daring. And I loved acting. I mean, there's no surprise there. I loved making movies. I loved making videos and my own comedy shows. I loved singing and dancing. I still do. I considered myself a tomboy. I wasn't much into, makeup or high heels or dressing fancy or purses or babies. I did love Barbies. I freaking loved Barbies, but um, I was more on the adventurous side. Um, me and my sisters would climb up on the roof and jump from the roof to the trampoline and go flying off. And it's a miracle we didn't kill ourselves, but those were very fond memories as a kid. Playing outside, playing kick the can, basketball. I loved all sports. My favorite sport was volleyball growing up. So, um, rambunctious, probably overly obnoxious, probably loud, but all around, I feel like I had a great childhood, great parents, a great family, an amazing upbringing right in the heart of Utah. Um, was born and bred in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and proud to be a Mormon. Um, Although we don't refer to ourselves as Mormons anymore, we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ, and I am proud to be a member and want to use this platform to inspire others through my faith, through my story, and through other stories. I went to Mill Creek Elementary School from kindergarten all the way through sixth grade, when sixth grade used to be an elementary. And I was the jump rope champion 3 years in a row, and super proud of it. You would jump, and the teachers would make tally marks for every jump you made. And I won for having the most jumps in 1 minute. And I am still the reigning champ at Mill Creek Elementary School. So it's my claim to fame. I was just jumping all the time. And then I went to Evergreen Junior High. It was a ghetto school, a ghetto experience, but one where I was able to experience different cultures, different diversities, and it was great. It was great. I mean, looking back, I knew nothing different, but now seeing the middle schools and the junior highs, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I survive at Evergreen? I was a cheerleader my ninth grade year. Cheerleading was not really my jam. I loved dancing and singing and acting, but I was kind of following the path of my sisters, which was cheerleading, and I didn't love it. I didn't love cheering at the games. I wanted to be in the game. I wanted to be playing the game instead of cheering for the players. I really wanted to be a leader in the school. I wanted to be in the assemblies. I wanted to be, you know, just involved in the school. So I more so wanted that than to actually be a cheerleader, but I didn't want to be an SBO. I knew that cheerleading at least involved dance in some way, and so I chose that. Um, and sometimes I still wonder to this day if that decision would have changed my life, because I also made varsity volleyball that year. And I remember the coach. The coach was the same coach for both cheerleading and volleyball. And I had made varsity volleyball and was so proud and so excited because it's my favorite sport, and I made the varsity team. And she said, Julie, you can decide. You can either do volleyball or you can do cheerleading. I hadn't even made cheerleader yet, but she figured that based on the reputation of my sisters and the fact that I could dance, that I had a good chance of making it. And she said, and if you're going to make cheerleader, I don't want you to do volleyball. Um, well, obviously, because you cheerlead. Well, no, I take that back. I made varsity in eighth grade. So I was in eighth grade and made the ninth grade varsity team. And, but she knew that I was going to try out for cheerleading. And she was like, I don't want you to do, I want to build my team. So if you're going to audition or if you're going to try out for cheerleading, I don't want you to do volleyball. I'm like, yeah, but it's eighth grade. I can do eighth grade volleyball and ninth grade cheer. And she was like, well, I just want to build my team. I don't want to have you join the team in eighth grade and then bail for ninth. And I was like, oh. So I chose nothing that year. I did try out for cheerleader. I did make it, but I still look back at that and wonder if it was a regret. I don't know yet. I mean, I could have chosen the path of sports or dance, and cheerleading wasn't the path, but it was a dancing opportunity, so I took that one and danced the rest of my life and still do. So I don't regret it, but I wonder about that choice sometimes to this day. And I probably spent way too long talking about that, but it really still like haunts me a little bit because I'm like, what if I had chosen sports instead? Where would that have taken me? I then did Olympus. I went to Olympus High School and was on the drill team. Again, I loved to dance. I was on an ensemble as a second alto. I have a very deep, low masculine voice. It's not my favorite thing about me. I remember one time when my grandma called when we used to have home phones, and I answered and I was like, hello. And she was like, Julie, is that you? And I was like, yes. How did you know, Grandma? And she's like, oh, I can tell by your manly, husky voice. I was like, oh, gee, thanks. So, and I used to have nodules on my vocal cords, like they're like little calluses on your vocal cords from straining, from screaming on roller coasters, from singing wrong. I sang from my throat and not from my diaphragm. I mean, I did all the wrong things, but I ended up getting nodules on my vocal cords, and I have been raspy. I don't know if I've been raspy ever since, but it's always been low, kind of, yeah, kind of horse like. I don't know. It's low, it's deep, and when I get sick, I sound like a man. But I love singing second alto at the same time. I lots of times prefer singing tenor. So first tenor. I was in ensemble as second alto, and I also was on the dance company, which of course was my favorite, and I loved it. Being able to choreograph my own dances with my best friends, like it was the greatest. Um, I also, in my youth, at 12, I think I was 12 years old in the summer of my seventh grade, I think, I auditioned for Lagoon. Lagoon is like a super low key um, amusement park here in Utah. It doesn't compare at all to Disneyland or Magic Mountain, but it's all we've got. And I auditioned and made it. And so we sang and danced. We were called the Little Rascals. And I loved it. Sang and danced a whole summer, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think it was. And we had 3 shows each night. And I got paid. And as a 12-year-old kid, I was making bank, and it was amazing. So that was a great opportunity, and I felt like I had, I had made it. I was a Lagoon singer and dancer. um, so anyway, after high school, I ended up going to Weber State University for a year, 2 years, excuse me, and I got my associate's degree there. I loved the school, but the experience was not the greatest. It wasn't a party school, which is great, but it also wasn't a fun school. It was just very much a commuter school where everybody drove either from Logan or Ogden and I lived up there for one semester and was like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. And then I drove for another, and it was scary when the snow was really bad and I'm driving all the way from Salt Lake to Ogden. Um, but I went to Weber State because I made the dance team. I was a song leader. Again, cheerleading wasn't my jam, and I wasn't a cheerleader. I was a song leader, which the song leaders dance. This cheerleader stunted and also danced, but I didn't have to wear the short skirts with my bum hanging out. And I didn't have to have boys touching my rear end. I had like this complex about that, but and I think cheerleaders are amazing. And I would, India wants to do it, but I just wanted to dance. So we did a lot of timeouts and half times. And then I realized, or then I wanted to go on a mission. So I got my associate's degree from Weber State University and transferred that to University of Utah. And I got a scholarship to the U. And I was so excited because at Weber State, I got a scholarship for dance, but at the U, I got a scholarship for my brains. And it was like my most proud moment because they wanted me for my smarts, which I wasn't smart. I just signed up for a scholarship that nobody else had signed up for. And so I ended up getting it. That's because nobody else signed up or registered or tried out or whatever it is for that scholarship. I ended up getting it because I was the only applicant. Applicant is the word I'm looking for. So I got that scholarship, a full ride scholarship to the University of Utah, and was thrilled I didn't have to pay. So they held that scholarship for me while I went on an 18-month mission to Asuncion, Paraguay. I was there from 2002 to 2003. I graduated from Olympus High School in the year 2000. And then shortly thereafter, Weber State for 2 years, I went to Paraguay and served in 4 areas, which were called San Isidro, Coronel Oviedo, Villa Elisa, and Sajonia. So 4 cities in Paraguay. And it was an amazing experience. Again, a whole nother episode about my mission, but I learned to speak Spanish. I learned to speak a little bit of Guarani when I arrived in the mission, and they'd say, "Hola, hermana, ¿cómo estás? Mba'eshapa." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I understood the hola, ¿cómo estás?" But what was Mba'eshapa? and it was Guarani. They mixed the two dialects, and so that was a little confusing for a while. But served a mission, really learned a lot, and relied on Heavenly Father, which, to be honest, is the reason I'm still standing today, spiritually speaking. It's the reason I've been able to kind of work through this trauma of my life, and is the reason my testimony is intact, is because of the things I learned on my mission. So if any of you are thinking of serving a mission, do it. Do it. It changes your life. It changes your heart. It changes your spirituality. It changes the way you think. It did for me. I came back after my mission, finished at the University of Utah. I ended up getting a Bachelor of Arts in psychology as my major, and minor was in Spanish. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I minored in something hard. It was hard. I was reading novels in Spanish, and I was taking not English classes, Spanish literature and Spanish history classes in college. So I minored in Spanish, majored in psychology. I danced professionally in a few things. I danced in the Paralympics with Donny Osmond. I danced for a season with Odyssey Dance Theater in Thriller. I danced with my own little group called Sojourn with my best friends. And I loved it. I loved dancing. I still do. Sometimes I still feel unfulfilled in what I did with dancing, but it's hard. It's hard after high school. Your body starts to wear down and tear down, and I've got a bunion on my right foot. I've got a Morton's neuroma on my left foot, and things hurt. But I sure loved it. And then anyway, I'm in my early 20s, served a mission, graduated from college, was working. I worked several jobs. I was working for my dad's law firm, and um, and then I met Alex Boyer in 2006 we were dancing at Trellis Square. We happened to be in the same ward up at the University of Utah in the university wards. And we met in 2006 dancing at Trolley Square where everybody else was doing their country swing. I went for the hip hop hour at midnight, and he was there. And of course, I love to dance, and hip hop was my favorite. And we dated, and it was pretty rocky for a year because of his color, because of his culture, because of his upbringing, and the fact that he wasn't even a citizen, and all these things were going against us. And it was hard for a little bit with my parents, and church culture. You were supposed to date within your race, but we got through that, and we were married in 2007. And that's all I'll say about that. We ended up having 8 children, and now I'm single. So that was not what I planned for, and not what I hoped for, and not what I wanted. But here I am, and that is a little history on me. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have questions, comments. I don't know. Can you leave that in the reviews? I have no idea. This is podcast number 2. I'm learning as I go. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for listening. It's Julie Jepson.